Hi, this is Joe, and you're watching Weizen Reviewen, where we review beer and stuff. Today we've got something from And Union in somewhere in Bavaria. I know that much. München. So they are another Munich brewery, uh, just like the aforementioned Crew Republic. I did a review a couple videos back, or one or two videos, I don't know. Did a review of their Imperial Stout, Roundhouse Kick. Nice beer. Definitely check that video out. Worth, trying the beer, and also worth seeing me act like a fucking fool in the video. So, this is a pale ale of the Indian persuasion, and it's a Friday Uber IPA. So, Uber IPA, I guess they're saying it's a super IPA. I'm inclined to agree with them. I have tasted this before. Has some wild stuff going on in the nose, guys. And just this classy bottle, I think, a lot of these craft brew bottles tend to be a little try-hard, with the designs. Some, like, crazy hip tattoo artist thing going on, or, like, this is just, you couldn't get any more simple than that. It's just orange on brown, black text. She says the name. Get a little bit of that hipster vibe, but I'll allow it. I will not be subpoenaing whatever courtroom word it is. I know about as much about the law as Charlie Kelly, so I can't really speak about it. Here's the pour on this guy. Got a wonderful amber, kinda orange aroma, color. This is the second review I have made tonight, so it goes without saying that I'm not exactly at the peak cognitive abilities that I was during the first filming. So the bouquet on this is like really, really wild. I mean, it smells like you would expect, like an American, specifically like a Californian IPA to smell, but with a little bit more of that sweetness. That sweetness that you can just tell it's German. It's distinctly IPA, distinctly not a German style, but something about that sweet, floral kind of aspect to the malt aroma is something I have found more common here. I think in the U.S., and with beers that are my favorites in the U.S., tend to be a lot more reserved as far as the presence of the malt. A little less sweetness, but there's something about the type of sweetness that you get in these German malts. I don't know what it is, but seems to be a very big trend across all sorts of beer styles here. There's always this really kind of comforting sweetness, and I hate sweetness. I don't like sweet things generally. Usually I want something dry and tart and bitter. But there's just something welcoming about that sweet German malt that I can't really put my finger on. So anyway, Smell a lot of berries, just a lot of peach, like peach pie, kind of. Maybe like a little bit of apple, teensy bit of clove even. Not a whole lot going on in the spice, but there's some presence. I almost want to say like a very vague hint of nutmeg somewhere, or cinnamon maybe. One of those little, one of those aromatic compounds. I can't really put my finger on it, but it's definitely dominated by like a peach ice cream kind of. Like if peach ice cream flavor was a scent, I'm sure peach ice cream doesn't smell like much of anything, but but it's more than just peach. It's peach and cream, and very very comforting and heartwarming aroma for being a Texan for me. So let's check it out. I almost caused the demise of my laptop there. So, first things that I take away from this, really, really easy going on the IPA, aspects. It's nothing super ultra skunky, not some like punch in the mouth, that is going to be, maybe off-putting to milder tastes, but as you taste it, there's a really decent presence of the hops. It's just that it's tucked away neatly in the way that it's brewed. I don't understand. It's probably due to the varieties of hops or what have you. I don't know, but while it does have the bitterness, but it's not that punch in the face. It's you're kind of eased in there with that sweet, caramelly, peachy, very mildly bready, but just like the teensiest bit. So it's got that kind of that warm spectrum of flavors, warm, almost Christmassy, like. I would say that there's like a very small hint of some like cinnamon aromas, as I had mentioned earlier, smelling some of those kind of cinnamon-esque flavors. Maybe not quite exactly cinnamon, but I almost smell a tiny bit of banana in the nose, which is something that I, strictly associate with Hefeweizens and Weizenbachs at this point, but other than something spiked with banana or whatnot. But it's not nearly as present as like the peach, a little bit of blueberry, like 60-40, 70-30. 70-30 peach and blueberry. Some like layers of bready, creamy sense. And on the taste, it's it's wild. It's something that you don't get a lot from IPAs. None of the particular aspects are sticking out in a very, very obvious fashion. You or I, rather, usually whenever I look to IPAs, I'm not looking for balance. I'm looking for balance in the respect that like I want the malts to be nice, and I want the hops to be good flavors, and I want them to complement each other. But usually when I go grab an IPA, I'm like, I want a hot bomb. I want something that kind of punches me in the mouth, you know, makes me go, oh, that's kind of an intense experience. The same kind of thing that I'm searching for in, you know, having a very spicy hot sauce, or putting a decent amount of chili oil into my pho, or what have you. It's trying to get these very, you know, very unusual like spikes in flavor or in aroma or what have you. But this is I don't know, they're like kicking an IPA in like a German fashion. Nothing really is like outlying too much that you just identify it as, oh, that's like a hot bomb of a beer. Because, I mean, I can't imagine that many people who are fans of milder or sweeter beers wouldn't like this. It's really, the hops is just so neatly tucked into these sweet, you know, peach and berry and kind of, like campfire like tastes, almost like the breadiness and the creaminess and such. It all kind of lends to the idea of like, s'mores, or like, or baked pies or things like that. It's not obtrusive, into the mouth, or it's not like a slap in the face. And some people won't like that, because a lot of people have been accustomed to IPA is trying to push it as far as possible, the most toppy, fucked up shit that you can find, which we've got total respect for. That's some great shit. But this is like a really wild and unexpected middle ground. I have actually been a little bit disappointed in some of my IPA experiences over here with the craft brewers, because it's almost all a lot sweeter, a lot fruitier than what's going on in places like California. But once you've got a little accustomed to it, once you realize that that, like, okay, maybe what they're going for isn't the most extreme thing on the block. Maybe this is something that can be appreciated in a different context. And I think that's also something that the craft beer community in general really needs to, take a better look at. Is there's this kind of idea that I see online a lot, Reddit, wherever. This kind of idea that there are like these very intense, styles that don't necessarily appeal to like the everyday palate of your everyday person. Imperial stouts, double IPAs, whatever the fuck. I think those are kind of like the holy grail, styles for a lot of American beer fans, because it's so intense, and and I think some people might even like kind of get off on the fact that it's like so out there, it's so much different than like your average stuff, and then kind of that gets accompanied by a very a sort of like condescending or patronizing attitude towards the simpler styles, or maybe versions of the style that don't try to go extreme with it and just try to make something balanced that's very accessible and ubiquitously enjoyable for people. And I think that's a really big obstacle, because if the community at large only wants these extreme styles, then there's going to be all this wasted potential. people want to get their IPA on. People want to get their stout on. They want to have, their pale ale, their their Weizens and so on and so forth. But like, aside from the Hefeweizen and a couple other more neglected German beer styles, the rest of the world isn't like invested into making new versions of these things. Like alt beer, for example, and that's something about me that I avid fan of alt beer. I love an IPA, love a pilsner, love a stout, love any kind of beer as long as it's brewed properly. But alt beer is, it does something to me. It hits me right where I need it, and but you don't see a lot of people trying to brew in those old school fermentation methods. There's all these dudes in Dusseldorf. There's these breweries scattered throughout the Niederrhein and the surrounding area a little bit. Some American breweries have like an alt that they try out, or they'll make like an alt related beer. Things just brewed with that top fermented style. I think it's top fermented. One of them's top fermented. One of them's bottom fermented. I can't remember at this moment. I'll look it up later. But if there's more investment into these kind of outlying styles, these less famous styles, alt beer, Kulsch, fucking Keller beer, Zwickel, even stuff like Rauchbier or Schwarzbier, which I don't even like Schwarzbier, but I think that I probably would if there were more people trying to get a more evolved form of it onto the market. And so I think everyone just needs to like take a step back with their predispositions. Like, oh, I only drink like the most hoppy as fuck IPAs. Like, you're just limiting yourself with that mental attitude. You gotta taste the triples. You gotta taste the brown ales and the blonde ales. You've got to taste the Doppelbock. You've got to taste everything because if you have this attitude that you already found the best thing, then how are you going to progress? And I think that's something that I gotta really toast to And Union on this beer, is they're making an IPA that does not betray the American IPA style. I mean, is this supposed to be an American, or doesn't say whether they're trying for the American or the English IPA style, but I mean, this can run with the best of them. With the nicest California, really dank, dry IPAs. It can keep up. It might not be as hoppy. It might not be quite as dry, but it is. It has, it doesn't have the overwhelming sweetness. It's dry enough, and the rest of the flavor of the beer is so well crafted and really kind of exemplifies a lot of what is great about German beer. It's so drinkable. It's fruity, sweet, delicate, has a wonderful color, retains some head. Like, this is a really good thing for craft beer in Germany, I think. And I think that that American craft brewers need to take an example from what the Germans are doing over here. And even the Dutch, the Austrians, everyone over here in Europe is starting to do their own spins on the IPA, the West Coast IPA, the double IPA, or your Imperial Stout, your, these traditionally American and English and, very kind of isolated geographically styles. Um, but what's happened is that, you know, Americans now, or the some a kind of trend that you see in Americans talking about beer online and such is that it's kind of like a dismissive air towards anything outside of those things, and we see an exception to this with the explosion of Berliner Weisse in America recently, which was reported to me by a friend that works in a bar in Texas. I asked, like, is there anything going on, like, in the beer scene there that you know of? Because, I've been really getting into the deeper, like, trenches of trying to find all of the different options of the better beers that the Germans and Belgians have to offer. Riding my bike to Holland to find some Abbey beer or some Trappisdale or what have you. Trying to find the stuff behind and below and around the Chimay or the Leffe or the other like really well-known ones that anyone could find really. Um, I I asked, and they said Berliner Weisse is like exploding right now. Sour ales, just in general, now are like, taking off in America, and I find that kind of amazing because I don't know. It seems like such a bizarre thing, Like a Berliner Weisse it's it's weird, Like it's good, it's very enjoyable, but like you really got to be in the right headspace for it. You got to want that experience, and it's really cool that that's caught on over there. But still, there's all these neglected styles. Like, what if all these craft breweries were like, emulating the cool, like, or alt beer styles, or the Keller beer, the Zwickels, um, or even making like Bayerish dunkels. What if these dudes in California, with their access to pristine, dank hops, and years and years and years of brewing really awesome, highly well received beer. What if they start hitting up like these old school styles? What if like Stone starts making, I don't know, like what if Stone has a Bayerish Dunkel? Why doesn't fucking Mizell and fucking Stone or any guys, Lagunitas and fucking Ad Union or Crew Republic or whatever the fuck, like there's all these opportunities, and like you just gotta keep breaking down the barriers, and when we just designate that a style must be this way and it must be as extreme as possible, then we're just closing ourselves off from all of the different opportunities that beer is offering, and makes available to our taste buds, I'm sorry for ranting, for making this an excessively long video. Really not cool. Should have made this a lot smaller, like 15 minutes smaller. But I'm not going to edit it. I'm just going to put it up because ain't nobody got time for that. I'm just trying to put my finger on like what that flavor is exactly, but I really can't properly. Pretty much what I said earlier. Combination of those fruits. 70, 30, 420, blaze it faggots, whatever meme that you want to insert. I'm I'm gonna finish this by the end of the video because the last one I actually didn't finish the glass and felt like that was like I felt like a quitter. You know what I'm saying? Like of course I finished the glass afterwards, but like why stop before the finish line? So hopefully this ends up less than 30 minutes long. This is so awful. Nobody's gonna watch this. Um, but that's the point of this channel, guys. Even if nobody's watching, you know, that's not who it's for. It's not for, you know, somebody to approve of or, you know, enjoy. Like, that's not why. It's not the reason to do anything. Just gotta do it because you have an appreciation for it and you want to refine your craft, whatever the fuck, you know. And you know, I think that's another tip that the world might want to pick up on. That like, not everything has to be so edited and so easily digestible and small and, you know, explainable in a tweet or, you know, accommodating of the smaller attention spans that, you know, we have all been trained to have. You know, I am a victim myself. I'm on YouTube a lot. I'm on all sorts of the internet a lot of the time. You know, and it's all just a barrage of accessible, easy content. And I say nay. Fuck that. Why would we, you know, why should I just, you know, why resign yourself to whatever's easy, whatever is, you know, it's just a stupid point. Like, I don't need to be talking about this, but I think people need to calm down and slow down. I think the fact that, you know, most people can't sit through, I mean, chances are most people who watch my 15-minute reviews can't sit through that shit. I don't blame them. I'm pretty boring, and I don't have much anything of substance to say. I get it. I respect it. But I think a lot of those people also couldn't sit through a 15-minute, I don't know, video about some scientific concept or what have you. I think, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, right? Spider-Man and shit. Like, you know, we have the ability to do whatever the fuck we want in like half a second. And so if, you know, so we're missing out on a lot of knowledge and a lot of things that could be relevant to us or that could spark something in us because we're skipping it because it's too long or because it's not, you know, edited right or it doesn't have like explosions in the beginning, you know. Like, you see this on like YouTube a lot, you know, or any of these platforms. Everything is like around this 10-minute mark or 5-minute mark, and you know, fuck that. Like, I want to sit there and like listen to Slavoj Žižek ramble for like an hour and a half because that's when you find like the really meaty shit. So yeah, it's all applicable, right? Like, you know, we need a longer, harder look at beer and at beer culture and see how we can like bridge all these gaps. You know, like what if, you know, what else could an IPA be? What about an IP alt? You know, IP alt beer, IP fucking, you know, we've already got the IPA Weizens or the white IPAs or what have you. You know, you could have fucking, you know, like IPA Rauch beer and shit. Like, it might work. I don't fucking know. There's so many possibilities, and everyone just needs to calm down, exchange some recipes, change some tutorials, you know, do a little more rambling in the reviews. All right, just in case anyone actually sat through this, I want you to know that you're rad and love you, appreciate you. Other meme-tastic stuff, you reposted in the wrong neighborhood. .gif. I'm out, bitches.